Good morning, everyone. It's Hanifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, my contemplative time this morning has been all about union or yoga with our higher consciousness. And of course, this is something that I do regularly with my meditations. And it's an intention before I meditate because, through meditation, my style at least is about no thought. And I know that some of you might be practicing more of a mindfulness meditation, and sometimes I do that too. And that's where we're actually thinking about our breathing or about our body, different sensations, different awarenesses that are going through the mind, that sort of idea. So there is different styles of meditation, and this meditation of literally focusing on union with a higher consciousness requires no thought. Now, of course, you can understand that a lot of people would find it easier to actually have something to think about, because when you decide to not think, believe me, thoughts come up, right? And it's the whole idea of you just don't grasp onto any of the thoughts that come through. In any case, the things that came up for me this morning were all about contemplating this union, this soul. So the soul's journey, and some of you might be familiar with this idea of we are not humans having souls, we are souls having a human existence, right? So this sort of idea is familiar, getting more familiar to people, where I think for a long time, and it was just our level of awareness at the time, that we felt like bodies that have a soul that one day will be somewhere else and we'll be with that soul wherever we go, right? Except that soul is always with us, right? So it's not that we have to wait till we die to suddenly recognize, oh, here's my soul. It's right here with us constantly, right? And this idea is brought up through all sorts of religions, all sorts of spiritual traditions too, and even in science, where there comes a point where unless one is purely materialistic, where if it's a material existence, then everything has to have something definable. So let's say people break it down to atoms and molecules or whatever. There will come a point where there's no more atoms and molecules, right? So that if we die, there's suddenly nothing left of the body, right? Or the brain. And so many people would rather, not so many, there are many people who would rather say that, well, when that happens, then life is done. And I find that more people, even people who have had near-death experiences, have noticed that there's something else that's continuing even beyond the body. So, of course, I'm of that tradition that I do believe that there is a soul that is continuing. But to understand the soul here and now is so fantastic, right? I think, because if we understand the power that comes from this space, that to me really directs our lives in a really positive way. And again, I find that all traditions, all religions, all spirituality speaks this way, but it's not only spirituality, because science is coming to the exact same space, and I love the union of all of these things, of course. So I came across a few quotes that I'd love to share with you today. One of the things that I thought really made sense to me, and I'll try to explain it to you, that if we were to think of, if you think of God as that energy, and then us as this energy, there's this whole idea of there's a little piece of that in this, right? There's this soul energy is this little piece. And a lot of people can think of it, I mean, if we think about Jesus and God and Jesus, whether he said this or whether people are saying that Son of God. So this is a piece of God that came through, right? In this sort of idea, then there's this higher consciousness that might have led to the birth of someone like Buddha, right? That sort of idea. Same idea, this thing bringing this. Yet, when you look at these ideas from a spirituality perspective, we see that what is that is this, just a really small amount, right? What is that is this. So when we look at it from a Hinduism perspective, the term, or Sanskrit term at least, is Tattvam Asi. And you can look into my videos to find that video that I've talked about this. So Tattvam Asi is that is I, or I am that, right? So that sort of idea. So this quotation that came from the Swatasvatara Upanishad really struck me. This said, know the embodied soul to be a part of the hundredth part of a point of a hair divided 100 times, and yet it is infinite. Can you imagine that? So this point of a hair, 100th part of a point of a hair divided 100 times is this, and yet this is infinite. So it's talking about what is within us. So this is how tiny of that infinite that we've got within us. But remember, even a tiny piece of infinite is still infinite. So I thought I'd let your minds think about that. I know it's a bit philosophical, but I love to think about these things. So I thought I'd share that with you. And then I thought some people might think, well, that's very spiritual, but it's definitely not science. And I thought this was a great quotation to share with you too. So this is by Werner Heisenberg. And maybe you heard the name Heisenberg, but you can look that up. This quotation says, after the conversations about Indian philosophy, some of the ideas of quantum physics that had seemed so crazy suddenly made much more sense. Isn't that interesting? So this is that union of science, spirituality. Okay, so I know that I have definitely experienced a major step, a quantum leap, I could call it, in my own experience about almost like a mystical experience of whether it's coming through my poetry or whether it's coming through just an awareness within me. And certainly in terms of my meditative experiences, there's been such a very unique difference in how things are coming to me now. So people talk about these, downloads that come through meditation. Maybe that's what it is. I'll say I get certain visions and awarenesses that are useful for my life experience. And I know that consciously and perhaps subconsciously, I ask for this. I ask for knowing things that are not seen that help me in this life experience to help others. So this is my intention and this is what is coming through. And I thought for the next little while, I will start sharing more videos about my own, if we want to call it mystical experiences or practical experiences that are coming through this union with something higher. I would love to inspire you to have similar experiences that are unique for you. But in any case, I wanted you to know that science and spirituality or religion all do intersect, and they're talking about the same thing, just different language. So I thought I would also share another, again, more science-minded direction quotation by Erwin Schrodinger. And this quotation says, the multiplicity is only apparent. The multiplicity is only apparent. This is the doctrine of the Upanishads, and not of the Upanishads only. The mystical experience of union with God regularly leads to this view, unless strong prejudices stand in its way. So this is so interesting, right? So again, when your mind is open and your heart is open, you start receiving the information that we're all privy to. And we will have our own experiences. And I've certainly experienced this. This person is obviously talking about it. And again, as he says, this is not unique. It happens for everyone if there is a strong intention and focus to do this. Now, when I started in the beginning, remember, we spend so much time studying academics, and I love academics. But if we can put that same energy into studying and understanding ourselves spiritually, of the soul, of our union, of the power that's within us, it is magical. Now, a lot of people will say, find your light, be the light. You've heard those sorts of terms. And I thought this quotation would be a great way to finish this video. Today, I would love for you to sit for 5 minutes after this video and see what is your light. How is it that you find it? What is your union with something? I'll say outside of you, but maybe it's right within you. I'd say it's both. You might have heard this term, as above, so below. I feel this. So again, so when we're thinking about, many people think of God or the heavenly realms as being above us, right? And then we think of ourselves in this earthly lower realm. And this as above, soul below, I will say is the same as Tattvam Asi, is the same as this union of God with God. This is the same as our understanding of our higher consciousness and then working from that space. And if there's that true desire to do that, it's a magical, mystical experience. So I wanted to finish with this quotation about light, and I hope that you will think about the light in you and what it is uniting with and what brings it to you and what allows it to flow from you. This quotation says, "There is a light that shines beyond the world, beyond everything, beyond all, beyond the highest heaven. This is the light that shines within your heart." And this is from the Chandogya Upanishad. And Upanishads are ancient Sanskrit teachings, which I would love for anyone to read. They're a little bit more philosophical, as you might be able to tell from the quotation itself, but I hope that today you will get into the space that allows you to understand your own light and that you will share it with yourself and the world around us. I wish you a fabulous day ahead, and I'm looking forward to starting this new series with you this year to help inspire you to connect with something higher. Have a fantastic day ahead, and remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.